on the first day here. I know we're in the heart of basketball, but it's good to start thinking a little bit about softball and baseball. So good to have you.
You begin with an opening statement about the 2025 season and the outlook for the team.
Well, we're excited to get started. You know, it's nice to have weather outside that kind of looks a little bit like spring's not too far away. A lot easier to motivate the players than when it's, 6, 8 inches of snow outside, and you know that the guys aren't going to have an opportunity to get outside anytime in the near future. So we're excited. We got a veteran team. These guys have played a lot of baseball. They've had a good fall. We're healthy at this point. We need to keep our guys healthy as we go through the season, but I like the blend of our older players with a couple of really talented freshmen as well. So, nothing like getting started.
Do you find yourself getting a little more sentimental at this time of year going into it, or is it just kind of all the same for you?
Yeah, there'll be a time for that, but not the first day. When I get on the field between the white lines and start working with the players, this is such a good group of guys to work with. We've really enjoyed working with them all fall, and we had a good workout today. So there'll be a time for that, but not now.
How do you square your expectations for this season based on, what you guys did in the non-con last year versus how it just never came together in league play?
Well, that's a mystery I'm not sure we solved. We just got to look at. We returned 7 of our top 9 position players. We returned 4 guys that have started. We returned a guy that's closed some games. So we got a lot of things covered, and we haven't dwelled a lot on what took place last year. There's no sense of going back and rehashing it. It is what it is. It didn't turn out the way we wanted it to, but we got a fresh start now. And I can't say enough about these players, and it's fun to work with some really talented older players that have been through the program. They understand, and they know what we're going to do in practice. Now it just comes down to getting their body in shape, baseball shape that is, and working on our execution. It's a great group of guys.
Are you optimistic about what the ceiling of the team could be? 'Cause, the middle game is the hardest to figure out in the first place, and you seem to.
And those were good opponents too.
Yeah.
Those are really, really good opponents in the midweek. I am. I really am. It comes down to we're trying to see if there's anything we can do to make sure we maintain health. I like our frontline players, and we got to stay healthy on the mound. Even though I think we got much more depth this year than we've had probably any other year I've been here. So we got some guys that can throw. They can throw hard. Now we'll find out if they can throw enough strikes or not here shortly, but we got some power arms. So it's a really interesting group. It's a fun group to work with. We got a really bunch of really good upperclassmen that I think are interested in taking on a leadership role. And I think any coach in America would tell you, when the players lead the program, you're going to have a lot more success. So I'm looking forward to seeing if these guys are willing to take that on.
What has your relationship been like with Mark so far, and what have you seen in terms of what he's brought to this program?
Well, obviously he's got a ton of experience, right? They all do. Coach Kingston does, Coach Moll does. They've both been head coaches. Coach Curran's been with those guys for a long time. So they bring a wealth of experience. So we're trying to tap in that as much as possible. We're not going to change a lot of things though, because I like the way we do a lot of things. So I give him credit. He's been very receptive to some of the things that might be different than what he's accustomed to. But the big thing is the players have adjusted remarkably well, and that's all that matters. This is about the players, and I've been really impressed with how they've handled all the changes. They've done a great job.
How do you try to marry that, wanting to still continue doing things the way you've done things, but also maybe trying to integrate a little bit of what he's trying to bring to the table? Mark?
Sure, we're probably still going through that. We learned a little bit about each other in the fall, but it's a different practice now. It's game on. In the fall, you're kind of experimenting a little bit. You're trying to maybe try some guys in different roles. But now it's, okay, we got to go. We got 18 practices to get ourselves ready. So, but we're still trying to feel each other out a little bit. And it may take a couple weeks into the season before we really get comfortable with, okay, here's your expertise, let's tap into it. Okay, this is what you're comfortable with, let's do it. We're no different than your team. You really don't find out a lot about your team until about the second or third week in March. Then you have a pretty good identity of what they're all about.
I'm sure this will change once the stress of the season comes along, but are you planning to try to savor all those, as many moments as you can along the way, given that this is the last run?
Well, I'll probably smile a little bit more than I normally do because that's not my forte. I have told the only thing I've really told myself is I need to enjoy it.
Yeah.
I need to enjoy the players. These players are really good people. We're blessed here. They have high character players that are talented. And that's not always the case. So I'm going to really enjoy them. I'll probably be a little bit more relaxed around them because I know that every day that goes by is one less day, one less opportunity to work with them. But I just can't say enough about the players. And I think I'll just sit back and say, okay, make sure that I'm enjoying these guys and what they've brought to our program. Many of these guys have been here for 3-4 years, and they put a lot into this program. And I'm gonna make sure that I let them know that. I'm gonna make sure I enjoy it.
I know that you're not caught up on the midweek Big East thing from last season, but did you learn anything from the success of one and the struggles of other that could help you this year? Was there any common thread or anything?
It just comes down to, they put a little bit too much pressure on themselves on weekends, and now how do we relieve that? I'm not 100% sure. I think you just got to go out and play and trust it, and we beat a lot of good people in the midweeks. We beat a lot of good people, and we just have to find a way to play a little bit more consistent. But a lot of it has to do with just got to stay healthy too, and I think they're ready. They're anxious to get started. I mean, if we played tomorrow, I think they'd be ready to go. They want to get started.
What do you like about the identity of what you potentially are working with on the mound this year? In terms of just,
the experience.
What does it show
The experience. A lot of these kids were freshmen last year. Eli Nissen, Jack Pino, Shea Went. They all kind of had some good moments last year. They also had some freshman moments, right? But now they're sophomores. We've added a good starting pitcher in Ian Koosman, who's a junior college guy. We have high expectations for Ian. He's everything we want in a pitcher. He knows how to pitch, he throws strikes, and he knows how to compete. And then we're still trying to work out some identities in the bullpen. What are our roles in the bullpen? Shane Curtin, who's a left-hander who had a really good start to the season last year, kind of broke down a little bit second half of the year. We got to keep Shane healthy, and likely he'll be in some of those late inning situations. But we have more power arms. We probably got 10, 11, 12 guys that can throw in the low 90s. We might have had 5 or 6 in the past. And some of these guys are young. I mean, we have a really good batch of freshmen and sophomore pitchers. And I'm hopeful that those sophomores gain some valuable experience. There's just no substitution for experience. And I'm hoping Eli Nissen and Shea Went and Jack Pino, who are going to have prominent roles this year, learned a lot from last year's experience.
This is a pretty good weather week. Are you guys going to get outside and scrimmage and all? Or?
We'll get outside on Monday, and then we're very optimistic that we'll be scrimmaging on the weekend. We'd like to scrimmage all 3 days on a weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Not long stints, but 3, 4, 5 innings, just to put them in some game situations. And the speed of the ball off the bat is a little different than what we can duplicate in here. So we're optimistic that we'll be able to get out there and do that.
What impressed you about Nolan last year, and what are you hoping to see from him as he continues that career?
Well, Nolan Sailors is a good baseball player, and he's a really good person on top of it. The thing I'd like to see Nolan improve on a little bit is just his leadership ability, because he's got a lot of that in him as well. But I think last year he developed a little more power. He was always kind of a slasher before. A guy, he's a left-hand hitter, so a guy that would hit balls in the 6-hole, guys that would hit balls over the shortstop's head. Last year he learned to pull the ball a lot more. He hit the ball with a lot more authority. The other thing I'd like to see Nolan do, because he's too good of a runner, is incorporate a little bit more of the bunt game and cut down on the strikeouts. When you run as good as he does, you're really doing the team a favor by striking out. So we want Nolan to kind of cut his strikeouts down a little bit, take on a little bit more of that leadership role, keep doing what he did last year as far as drive the baseball. He had a big year. We're fortunate to have him back, to be honest with you. I didn't think we were going to get him back. So he's one of those guys we were talking about earlier. We want to make sure we enjoy Nolan Sailors because, after our season last year, I would have said it's less than 50-50 that we got him back, but we're certainly happy on our part that he's with us.
Take 2 more questions to keep us on schedule.
we've kind of talked about you and Mark working
Yeah.
together, and you have the veterans this year with a couple of really talented freshmen. Does this season feel like kind of the perfect marriage between eras as players, staff?
It does remind me a little bit of the 19 team, because the 19 team didn't play as up to its ability in 18, and then 19, bam, they hit their stride, and they went on to go to the regional final in Corvallis. A little different personnel, but a lot of the similarities in veteran players who have played a lot of baseball here, who knows what it takes to win here. Actually, I think our pitching staff is deeper this year than the 19 team. It's a bad thing to do, but when you get to be at a place as long as I have been, it's easy for you to compare teams, right? Oh, this team reminds me of this team. This reminds me of this team. And I hate to do that because I'm not trying to put pressure on this club, but it reminds me a lot of 19. And the 19 team was fun to be around. I didn't have to babysit them. They did everything right on and off the field. They were very motivated. They wanted to play at the next level. They knew in order to do that, they had to play well at this level. There's a lot of guys on this year's team that have a chance to play at the next level. And that's good. That's good to have that goal because it motivates you to play well on the current team that you're on.
Final question for Coach Servais. All right, thanks, Coach.
Hey, thanks for coming out, guys.
Thank you.